File item 7 is AB 375. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 375 by Assemblymember Campos, enacting to school employees.
Ms. Campos, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 375 is back for concurrence from the Senate, where it received bipartisan support. The bill seeks to expand differential pay to include paid parental leave for teachers. The Senate amendments are clarifying and technical in manner. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 The clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 42, noes 21. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 8, AB 376. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 376 by Assemblymember Lopez, enacting to CalWorks.
Ms. Lopez, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 376 is back from the Senate concurrence. AB 376 will help streamline and simplify administrative process to CalWorks will be help families access to the support they need by using current technology to verify immunization records. Senate amend allow instead of requiring counties to review the California immunization to verify and specific children from the CalWorks assistant until they have received the appropriate age. Immunization period requirements for the California application receive proprietary immunization records. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 66, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item number 9 is AB 561. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 561 by Assemblymember Campos, enacting to agricultural labor relations.
Ms. Campos, you may again open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 561 will help expedite the process for farm workers to recover the fair wages they are rightfully owed. It will do this by requiring that employers post a bond before they start the appeal process, and by requiring the Agricultural Labor Relations Board to reach a decision 1 year after liability is found. AB 561 is now back for concurrence with Senate amendments. The Senate amendments have narrowed the scope of the bond provision of AB 561. The bond amount will now be limited to making whole remedy only. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and these were the amendments that I vowed to take on this floor so that it would make the bill better.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Okay. Ms. Campos, what's your pleasure?
Move the call.
Ms. Campos moves a call. Members who are on file item 10, AB 610. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 610 by Assemblymember Jones Sawyer and others, enacting to child support, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Jones Sawyer.
Mr. Speaker, AB 610 extends existing legislation that addresses child support debt accumulated by incarcerated parents with no income. The Senate amendments clarify the language of the bill to ensure that local child support agencies do not retroactively modify past child support orders. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Jones-Sawyer. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 61, noes 3. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 11, AB 696. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 696 by Assemblymember Jones-Sawyer, enact related criminal procedure.
Mr. Jones-Sawyer, you may again open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 696 is back for concurrence. The bill requires a judge to make a finding of probable cause that a crime has been committed when an out-of-custody defendant is facing a misdemeanor charge. Senate amendments delete the requirement that the probable cause determination be made at least 30 days prior to the trial date. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Jones-Sawyer. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 47, noes 14. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item number 12, AB 865. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 865 by Assemblymember Alejo and others, enact relating to the State Energy Resources Conservation and Development Commission.
Mr. Alejo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present AB 865, which will drive clean energy investments in underserved communities. This bill will require the California Energy Commission to develop and implement an outreach program to inform and increase engagement with women, minority, disabled veteran, and LGBT-owned businesses regarding workshops, trainings, and funding opportunities. This bill would create a more inclusive green economy by encouraging transparency in procurement and leveling the playing field for diverse businesses that may otherwise be overlooked in the clean energy sector. Amendments in the Senate were technical and clarified how the Energy Commission will develop and implement an outreach program. The utility companies who have worked with this program for decades have found that it helps build relationships with diverse communities and improves their procurement of the goods and services they need. The bill received bipartisan support in the Assembly and Senate, has no registered opposition. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Alejo. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 48, noes 13. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item number 13 is AB 964. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 964 by Assemblymember Chow, enact relating to civil law.
Mr. Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 964 would enhance privacy protections for sensitive personal information by strengthening California's data breach notification law with a definition for encryption. The amendments in the Senate address chaptering out conflicts. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 50, noes 10. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 14 is AB 195. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 195 by Assemblymember Chow, enact relating to computer crimes.
Mr. Chow, you may again open.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 195 protects individual privacy by cracking down on Internet websites that assist in the solicitation of a hacker to illegally access a computer network. The amendments in the Senate address a technical issue that states that nothing in this bill precludes prosecution under any other law that provides for a greater punishment. With that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 64, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're going to pass temporarily on file item 15. Moving to file item 16. That's AB 1354. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1354 by Assemblymember Dodd and others, an act relating to discrimination.
Mr. Dodd, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 1354 is back for concurrence. Amendments in the Senate making clarifying changes removed all opposition to this bill. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dodd. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 45, noes 24. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 17, AJR 26. Clerk will read.
Assembly Joint Resolution 26 by Assemblymember Weber and others, relative to the Confederate flag and symbols.
Dr. Weber, you may open.
Yes, Mr. Speaker and members, I rise again to present to you AJR 26, which is back for concurrence. The Senate amendments were minor and technical corrections. This bill has enjoyed bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 65, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we are moving to Assembly third reading. To file item number 25, ACR 103. Clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 103 by Assemblymember McCarty and relative to adoption.
Mr. McCarty on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. ACR 103 designates November as Court Adoption and Permanency Month. During Court Adoption and Permanency Month, the courts and local communities are encouraged to promote adoption and building permanent relationships for foster children. This measure helps ensure that every abused or neglected child finds a safe, stable, and permanent home with a loving family as quickly as possible. I ask for your aye vote, but first I would ask the first roll be open for co-authors.
Thank you, Mr. McCarty. No discussion on the item. Mr. McCarty is asking the first roll be open for co-authors. Members, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. This is for co-authors adding on ACR 103. For co-authors, members, the clerk will close the roll. There are 70 co-authors added on the resolution. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Members, we're on Senate third reading. File items 26 through 32. We will pass and retain. Moving to file item number 33, SB 530. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 530 by Senator Pan, an act relating to vehicles.
Mr. McCarty, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This measure provides uniform statewide regulations and minimum safety standards to allow pedicabs to operate in California. The bill additionally enables local governments to set standards for pedicabs to operate under statewide guidelines. Since there are no uniform standards or regulations for these unique vehicles, many of these small businesses have struggled, been prevented from operating, or have gone out of business due to regulatory absence, confusion, and limitation. This bill has received bipartisan support, supported by small business and travel associations. I ask for your aye vote on this local control measure.
Thank you, Mr. McCarty. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 60, no 0. Measure passes. File item 34, pass and retain. File item 35, we are going to pass temporarily. File items 36 through 38 pass and retain. We are moving to file item number 39. That's Senate Bill 413. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 413 by Senator Wieckowski, an act relating to public transit.
Mr. David Chu, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 413 would amend the statutes governing violations that occur on transit vehicles and facilities in California relating to the enforcement of priority seating, the clarification of what constitutes noise violations, and the citation of minors. The bill has received unanimous bipartisan support in both the Assembly and the Senate thus far, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 63, no 0. Measure passes. File item number 40, SB 494. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 494 by Senator Hill and others, an act relating to emergency services.
Mr. Cooley, you may open.
Colleagues, Senate Bill 494 by Senator Hill establishes the California Earthquake Safety Special Fund to help implement the earthquake early warning system, which is planned to be based on public-private partnerships under existing law. The bill also extends by 6 months the requirement for the Office of Emergency Services to identify funding for this warning system. Bill has no opposition and has had unanimous support. I request your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 67, no 0. Measure passes. We are going to pass temporarily on file item number 41. File item 42, pass and retain. We're moving to file item number 43. That's Senate Bill 134. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 134 by Senator Hertzberg and others, an act relating to attorneys.
Mr. Alejo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. This is a bill by our hugging senator from Van Nuys. California Business and Professions Code Section 6001 says that it's for attorneys, protection of the public shall be the highest priority. Still, even an attorney with the greatest passion for public service must make decisions based on economic sense. Law school graduates average over $100,000 in debt, yet will only make about $35,000 a year as a legal aid attorney. That was certainly the case in my career. It is difficult to find someone to commit to helping others when they're struggling to help themselves. This bill funds a loan assistance program for public interest attorneys using unclaimed property and lawyers' trust accounts. Legal aid and public defense attorneys can take on 2,000 to 3,000 cases a year, providing access to justice to those that need it the most. The cases taken by the attorney award recipients will cost the state between 50 cents to $2 a case. The money we choose to spend now on public interest law is minor compared to the value on putting basic rights into practice for low-income individuals. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Alejo. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 56, noes 11. Measure passes. We are moving to file item number, 44 is a pass and retain. File item 45 is SB 475. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 475 by Senator Monning, an act relating to continuing care contracts.
Ms. Brown, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, Senate Bill 475 gives future residents of continuing care retirement communities, or CCRCs, protections against significant delays in lump sum payments when the CCRC unit is sold. It also establishes a complaint and investigation procedure and has now the support of, they've removed their opposition, and that's Leading Age and California Association of CCRCs. They represent the nonprofit and for-profit CCRCs in California. preparing for the rapid growth in the numbers of seniors, you know, that tsunami we always talk about, and seeking the safe care and safe housing is so critical. I just ask that you'll help me to pass this motion, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Mr. Hadley, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I respectfully rise in opposition to this bill. I thank the author for taking a number of amendments through the legislative process on this bill. But SB 475 is not, in my opinion, a consumer protection bill as it has been portrayed throughout the legislative process. What we have in this bill is that the vast majority of CCRCs in the state are nonprofits. And this is not a two-way relationship between an operator and a consumer. This is a three-way relationship between the operator, the consumer, and the other residents. And in the name of consumer protection, all that this bill does is create the risk that we hurt the CCRCs that are supporting the other residents. As I said, the author has taken many amendments to weaken the impact of this bill, and I thank him for that. And as a result, a lot of the opposition has come off this bill. But this bill is really a missed opportunity. What we need to do is we need to encourage investment in CCRCs in California. These are a great option for many consumers, for many residents, for many seniors. And this bill doesn't do anything to improve the legal framework to stimulate investment in continuing care retirement centers. So I would respectfully request your aye vote, and I think there's a lot we can do in 2016 to improve CCRCs and to give access to more Californians for them. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Hadley, seeing no additional discussion, Ms. Brown, you may close on the item.
I thank my colleague for his comments. This particular bill is going to give some teeth to the CCRCs. It'll be 10%. One of the things that had been happening is people were waiting years to get their money back once they invested in these in this organization. And this requires 10% to the estate of someone who's passed that has vacated the unit within 120 days, and 20% to former residents who choose to move. It has also given a 4 to 6% annual interest rate. This is a good bill, and I'm sure that next year we can work on some others, but we need to move forward on this. It's good, and that's why Leading Age and the California Association of CCRCs, which are both nonprofit and for-profit, they've removed their opposition. So think about our seniors and think about what they need and what their needs are. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I've been asked to clarify that Mr. Hadley is asking for a no vote on the item. Members, thank you for the debate. With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote to desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 47, noes 25. The measure passes. Okay, members, moving to file item number 46, that's SB 792. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 792 by Senator Mendoza, an act relating to daycare facilities.
Members, we are going to pass temporarily on that item. Thank you, members. Clarification, Mr. Calderon will be taking up the item. Again, members, file item 46, that's Senate Bill 792. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 792 by Senator Mendoza, an act relating to daycare facilities.
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Calderon. You may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. SB 792 by Senator Mendoza protects California's most vulnerable, our children, by making sure that those who care for them in child care centers are vaccinated against 3 serious contagious illnesses: influenza, pertussis, and measles. Numerous expert bodies, including the Center of Disease Control and Prevention and the California Department of Public Health, recommend that those who care for young children receive important immunizations because until they are fully vaccinated, children rely on those around them to maintain community immunity. This bill affects employees and volunteers at daycare centers and family daycare homes and was carefully crafted to place these requirements within existing laws governing daycare centers. All the vaccines required by the bill are fully covered by insurance policies at no cost to the employee. Uninsured caregivers can find no or low-cost vaccines at their local health departments. Further, caregivers can obtain a medical exemption from their physician if they cannot be vaccinated or if they can show they are already immune. The author has worked to make sure the bill is simple for child caregivers and providers by allowing employees to receive their vaccines at the same time as the current required tuberculosis screenings. Also, the bill allows for a 30-day time period for caregivers to provide proof of their immunization records. This bill has received bipartisan support. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Calderon. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 50, noes 10. Measure passes. File item 47 is Senate Bill 21. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 21 by Senator Hill, an act relating to the Political Reform Act of 1974.
Mr. Gordon, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 21 increases transparency within the Political Reform Act by requiring nonprofits that pay for elected official travel to disclose to the FPPC the names of the donors responsible for funding that travel. Recent amendments narrow the bill to only apply to those nonprofits that spend a large portion of their budgets on conferences and travel. Currently, these nonprofits don't have to disclose the source of travel funding, preventing the public from knowing who is behind the gift to the elected official. The bill would also require elected officials to disclose to the FPPC the destination of their travel if it was a gift. This is a scaled-back version of last year's SB 831, which passed off this floor with unanimous bipartisan support. This legislation is supported by the California Newspaper Publishers Association, the League of Women Voters of California, Common Cause, and the California Public Interest Research Group. I ask you to join them in voting aye on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Seeing no discussion or debate on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 69, no 0. Measure passes. File item 48 passed and retained. We're moving to file item 49. That's Senate Bill 320. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 320 by Senator Lara, an act relating to pupil fees.
Mr. Thurmond, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present Senate Bill 320 on behalf of Senator Lara. This bill improves the process for parents to obtain recourse when they believe they've been charged an unlawful student fee. Amidst reports that many public schools charge student fees to participate in activities, the author of this bill carried AB 1575, which was signed into law in 2012. The compliance process, however, does not always work as intended, as some schools continue to charge students to participate in activities that would otherwise be covered by the school. To address this and these issues, SB 320 streamlines the local pupil fee complaint process and strengthens the California Department of Education's authority over appeals so that parents and students are afforded a fair process to recover unlawful expenses. Members, I respectfully urge your aye vote on this measure.
Thank you, Mr. Thurmond. Seeing no debate on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 69, no 0. The measure passes. File item 50 is Senate Bill 324. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 324 by Senator Pavley and others, enact linked to taxation.
Ms. Irwin, you may open.
I rise today to present Senator Pavley's SB 324, a companion bill to my AB 449. Together, SB 324 and 449 will allow Californians with disabilities to access Achieving a Better Life Experience or ABLE Act savings accounts to save for disability-related expenses. These bills allow people with disabilities to earn money and save without losing access to safety net programs and enable them to save for the future. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Irwin. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 72, no 0. Measure passes. File item 51, SB 414. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 414 by Senator Jackson and others, enact linked to oil spill response.
Mr. Williams, you may open.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, members. This year in May, tragedy struck the coast offshore Santa Barbara. An onshore pipeline carrying crude oil ruptured and spilled not only tens of thousands, but well over 100 thousands of gallons of oil into the ocean off the Santa Barbara coastline. Unfortunately, our area is no stranger to oil spills, and of course, this oil spill spread into 4 counties. This bill addresses some of the shortcomings we have identified in responding to oil spills. It, number one, integrates fishing vessels into the response, requires OSPR to report to the legislature on the best achievable technology for oil spill prevention, requires OSPR to notify the legislature if it uses dispersants in response to an oil spill, and requires the agency to report to the legislatures within 12 months of the use of dispersants, the effectiveness of those dispersants, and the negative environmental effects from those dispersants. I requestfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Allen.
I'd like to rise in full support of SB 414 and thank my colleague for bringing it to the Assembly floor. I had the good fortune to go visit Refugio State Beach on the first day that it opened up after the spill was cleaned up. I'm happy to report that the efforts that were conducted down there were extremely successful. The beach is absolutely gorgeous. I'd also like to compliment the author on the provisions in the bill which will ensure that we get to keep our coastline clean, free of oil spills, and make sure that if there is an unfortunate event, that we are the first on the scene and make sure that the appropriate steps are taken so we can maintain our beautiful coastline.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. See no additional discussion on the item. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 70, no 0. Measure passes.